Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it last.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Make It Last podcast. It's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. And this time we're going to have a conversation with a betrayal trauma practitioner. It's a new term to me, and he's going to explain what that is. He's a relationship coach, author, and speaker. Welcome, Mr. Shea.
Thank you so much for having me on.
What does a betrayal trauma practitioner mean?
So, a betrayal trauma practitioner is someone who helps people go through the steps to heal themselves after a primary attachment betrayal. So it could be a betrayal with your parents, your child, your boss, your creator, your spouse, significant other, partner, yourself. So anyone that you have a primary attachment to, and there's a betrayal there, I help work with them to go through the steps to help eradicate the trauma that often presents itself after a primary betrayal.
Okay, and this is something you do have certification in, yes? You've been trained in this area.
Many of them.
Okay. So how does one deal with betrayal trauma? So that's what we're going to be unpacking today, folks. How can one deal with betrayal trauma?
Well, I can give you the short answer because obviously it's very in depth. I mean, everybody deals with trauma completely differently. One of the things, if you just want to start from an overview, betrayal trauma hits us at our core insecurities. So if you have a core insecurity of whatever it is, you're not lovable, you're worthless, whatever your core insecurity is, what happens is the trauma from that betrayal wakes up that sleeping giant, which is interesting because so many times couples will come to me and they'll say, well, he cheated, so he needs help, or she had an affair, so she needs help. No, both parties need help because there was a lot of damage done on both ends, and both people need a lot of healing in that area. So anyways, betrayal trauma is anything that overwhelms our coping mechanisms, and we feel hopeless and helpless about it. And then of course, trauma itself is not what happens to us. It's how our body responds to that. Because you and I can go through the same exact experience, and I can be traumatized from it, and you're not necessarily traumatized from it. So it's not what happens to us. It's our coping mechanisms, our resiliency, our experiences, or lack of.
You said just now that both of us can go through the same thing and it's more traumatic than it is on another. How then do you, for want of a better word or way of saying it, make that distinction to say it's actually traumatic or it's just a quote unquote rough spot that you just have to get over?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I say often is the difference between like stress, distress, momentary heightened anything, and trauma is that all of the above overwhelms us. Trauma, however, changes us. What does mean?
No, because trauma changes us. Okay.
It does, and it, it really does change us. It changes our filters. It changes our world viewpoint. It changes perspective. It changes our nervous system. So it changes us. It's a fundamental change within our body, actually our mind, body, and soul. So yeah, but anyways, not to interrupt you.
No, so then ultimately, if it is that it changes us, and of course it's ultimately, if we want to have healthy relationships, we want it to make us better, not bitter. So how then do we deal with all of this then in a healthier fashion so we don't become bitter? Because when something changes, it's easy, and I can speak from personal experience. It's easy to come bitter, not necessarily better.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is one of the things that I say all the time. If you think about your favorite chef, whoever that is, your most famous favorite chef, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say one day he or she is making some beautiful, delicious creation and they burn themselves on the stove.
Mm-hmm.
They have every right to become bitter and say, I'm never going to cook again. But oh my Lord, imagine the beautiful creations they're never going to create again if they don't cook. So yes, we have a right to be, we have reasons to be bitter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to love again. I'm never going to open up my heart again. I'm never going to enter a relationship. But all we're doing is just harming ourselves because we have so much more beauty within us to create. And we also have to go into every relationship, knowing that people are human, they're fallible, and there's going to be times they think for themselves, which ultimately might hurt us. That's a gamble we take when we are in relationships. And that's with friends, neighbors, family, partners, you name it. Now, as far as healing trauma, it's really an involved question because, again, everyone is completely different. Everybody has a different support system. Everybody has different resiliences. Everybody has different beliefs. Everybody has different common core values.
That's true.
Spiritual beliefs. So it's really a very broad question. But one of the things you first have to heal is the injured little child within. Because it's that child within that really gets injured to the deepest depths, to the core. And once you start healing that injured child within, then you empower that injured child within, and then both parties together, the person you are today and now the empowered, strong, once injured child, come together. And man, you make nuclear warfare with what you can do as far as your healing. But there's a process. It also depends on, are you rebuilding, reconciling your relationship, or are you leaving your relationship? There's just many aspects to it. Hello, I am Coach Jay, and I am a relationship expert on betrayal. And I am speaking with Noreen Daly on Making It Last podcast. And we will be right back after the short break.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it last.
Langdo Language Institute was created to meet your language and communication needs. All of our packages were created just for you. We are passionate about language and dedicated to your success. We offer the CSEC English program, the Study Buddy program, the Get Ahead with English program, and the Business Communication program. Contact us at 767-285-0938 or email us at landolanguage@gmail.com, because the real question is, how can we help you?
Photography is an art, but more so, photography must come from the heart. Precious moments, priceless times. Take a pic and know it will turn out fine.
BMC Photography JA. Beautiful moments captured. Let's go.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors: Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it last.
Welcome back, everybody, on Making It Last podcast with Noreen Daly. I am Coach Jay, and we're going to continue this conversation.
So basically, are there things though that would, well, I don't necessarily think you can generalize it, but are there some basic things that right across the board would apply? Or let me just say that, are there universal principles then right across the board that you can say, okay, if you do these, say for argument's sake, I know you can't simplify it, these 2-3 things, if you do these 2-3 things right across the board, you are on your way.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
what would those be?
Okay, so first of all, okay, I'm going to give you an example of, let's just say, a male-female couple.
Okay.
And the male stepped out of the relationship and had an affair, cheated, committed some type of infidelity. So we'll go in that realm.
Okay.
The first thing I would say is to the person who was victimized or hurt or betrayed is to create a lifeline list. What is a lifeline list? What are the things that are needed just to make you survive? Because when you discover the hair in the car, the lipstick in the back seat, the numbers under your mattress, your brain is hijacked. You're not thinking logically. So when you are in a state where you can have just a moment of prefrontal cortex where you're thinking logically, you need to write down a safety list. What that is name 3 people that you can call that are non-judgmental that you can just vent to. Name 3 restaurants in the area where you can call and within 20 minutes they're going to deliver food. Because listen, there's a lot of parents that need to feed their kids, but they're in the fetal position in bed and they're crying for days and days, but they still have to feed their kids. So they need to pick up the phone and call a restaurant. Within 20 minutes, their kids can have pizza. Name 3 people that, will pray with you if you call. Name 3 comedies or shows or funny comedians that make you laugh. Because even though you're not going to laugh when you're in this moment, it's going to temporarily take your mind off of the danger zone. Because again, your mind is hijacked. So like I said, creating a lifeline list, because what happens is when you are in an emotional mindset and you're having panic attacks and you're not thinking clearly, you need to pick up a piece of paper and say, okay, you know what? I can call this person. They're going to be there for me just to start praying or whatever. It's a written down. Number 2, a lot of grounding techniques, because triggers and emotional flashbacks and flooding when it comes to betrayal, they will take you to your knees. So what happens, and this is why I say trauma changes us, because what happens when we're triggered after a betrayal means that you could be taking a shower, you could be doing the dishes, you can be having sex. And then all of a sudden a trigger of what you experience as far as the betrayal comes, and it can it's like a sledgehammer to your gut. It literally will bring you to your knees. Your mind is again hijacked. So one of the things that I tell people to do is you have to ground yourself. How do you ground yourself? Well, a couple things. If there's any possibility to splash cold water on your face, splash cold water on your face. If there's any possibility you're home alone, scream or sing at the top of your lungs. I don't care if you sound awesome or you sound crazy. Like if you're just, oh my God, my mind is back in the betrayal and it feels like you're in the moment. It's like, you're gonna leave me. Yeah. I mean, do whatever you got to do to get out of that mindset. Start spitting out some math facts. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 minus 5 is 44. 44 plus 2 is 46. And the harder the math facts get, the more you got to think, the more you're tapping into your logic mindset, and you're getting rid of your amygdala, your emotional reptilian mindset. Another thing I say is put a rubber band around your wrist. And if you're thinking things are triggering, snap it, snap yourself out of it. Also talk to your triggers. Say, okay, listen, amygdala, I know you're trying to do your job. I get it. I appreciate it, but I'm not in any danger right now. The danger already passed. I understand you're here to inform me, but you can't threaten me. There's no threat. The threat's already passed. Also, when you go through a betrayal, and then I'll stop here because you only asked me for 3 and I'm giving you a couple more. One of the things that I always say is, see, this is my passion. So once you get me talking, you might have to interrupt me and say, okay, I got it. But one of the things that I say all the time is when you discover a betrayal, your choices were robbed from you. Your choices were stripped and stolen from you. Because you wouldn't have made that choice. So your choices were rough. So one of the things I say is important is you got to give yourself the empowerment of choice. And that's with everything. You have to make a choice. You know what? I can leave anytime my relationship. I can leave my relationship. And if I need to, I will. But I'm going to choose today to stay and see if we can work this out. I'm going to choose tomorrow to go to the store and buy bread. I'm going to choose tomorrow at 7 o'clock to buy bread. Now you can be thinking, well, you have kids. Of course you got to buy bread. Yes, but you can make the choice to buy bread at 4 or 9. You have to give yourself the power of choice. I'm going to shower today at 8 o'clock. So you have to give yourself choice and empower yourself with the gift of choice because that's what was stolen from you. I can give you many more, but I know you have limited time.
No, actually, I just picked a random number. So if you have a few more to share, that's fine. Because based on what you said, I think we got 2. So feel free to share, like, a few more. That's fine.
Okay. One of the things too is there's another technique called the rainbow technique. So, look around you and name something that's the color of the rainbow. So name something around you that's red, name something around you that's orange, name something around you that's yellow. Because what you want to do is you want to get your mind out of being hijacked. Another technique is the 5 senses. What are 5 things you can see? What are 4 things that you can touch? What are 2 things that you can hear? What is 1 thing that you can smell? So it's using the 5 senses technique. One of the things that you also want to do is ask your trigger what you need. So sometimes people are triggered, and that's because your body's trying to tell you something is unhealed or there's something you need. So some people are like, you know what? I feel very alone. I would love a hug. Okay, well, if your spouse is there and you're reconciling and rebuilding, ask your spouse if you can give you a hug. If your spouse is not there, go hug your pet. And if your pet's not there and nobody's around, turn around and give yourself a hug. Because nobody's going to love you if you don't love yourself. So whatever your triggers are telling you need, give yourself what you need.
I am sensing you literally just touched, I won't say the surface, but obviously there's so much more that we could talk about regarding this. But I believe
Absolutely.
that what you did share is a good start for those who will watch and listen to this. Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. J.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This was Making It Last podcast. It's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with the other people. I'm Mary Dulu. Until next time.
You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers.